Hello everyone, this is Mike from Hummingbot Foundation, and we're back with another monthly community call. Today we'll be going through version 1.22 release highlights. We should have a special guest, Barnaby from Vega Protocol. We're going to announce our first sponsorship and partnership with Vega. I'm also going to invite Barney to join the stage with me, have a chat with him, and have explain together how the new sponsorship will work. So I know Barney has to leave pretty soon, so I wanted to kick things off by discussing why we're so excited about this new this sponsorship. This is actually the first sponsor that we're announcing as part of Hummingbot Foundation, but it's one of many to come. In addition, I'm going to go over some of the highlights from our recent 1.22 release that just came out yesterday. I'll go over the new V2 strategy framework a bit, which is we've documented extensively in this release. And then finally, I'll discuss some of the work that we're doing recently around research into AI and how that will be incorporated into Hummingbot in the near future. Sponsorship is one of the things that we've announced recently. In terms of our value proposition at Hummingbot, we're really just open source software. Anyone can download our code from GitHub, anyone can fork it. And we actually designed it that way. Our goal has always been to level the playing field and give access for everyone the secrets, the algorithms, and the tooling that the people in Wall Street have had. Because that's actually where I started my career. I saw how almost how dumb it was and how simple it was, and how these people in New York and London and Hong Kong were able to make money because of where they lived and where they grew up. And I think that same technology should be available to everyone. When we first started working with Vega, and we saw we were very much aligned in that vision of making available the technology of Wall Street to everyone. And so that's why we've known them for a while. And now that they're launching their new perpetual exchange, I think it's a great time to start really working with our community and leveraging our community to support the launch of a new exchange where they have an opportunity to provide early liquidity and be rewarded for providing liquidity, just like a large market maker, who are working with a new exchange as well. So, and because of the vision, we felt that they were the first exchange we really wanted to kind of really try to support with documentation and with community incentives and those kinds of things. So maybe I'll turn it over to Barney to maybe introduce himself and Vega.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. Hi everyone. It's always been surprising every time we meet with Hummingbot how aligned we actually are, and you guys, that exact thing of like sitting on a trading floor and watching all these people kind of be dumb and make money, and yes, some of them are smart, but like not smarter than the other people and the other 7 point whatever billion people on Earth. You sort of watch them do that, and you realize it's all these resources they have, all this technology, all these things that are kept behind closed doors, all this access, location, everything else that has given them the ability to take home like a $400,000 yearly salary or more and $1 million bonus and all these things. And you sort of think, well, it's just this unfair system that's giving them this money. And so we have been looking at it very much from the infrastructure point of view, like how do you rip that infrastructure and rip the control of innovation in markets and access to markets out of the hands of those people. And I think you guys at Hummingbot and your community there have been doing exactly the same thing for the other side of it, the sort of buy side, if you like, of actually like accessing these markets, trading on the markets, providing liquidity, running algorithms, and the various different types of algorithms that you support and that people do make up a huge percentage of what goes on the market. So I'm super excited to do this just because one of the things I look at, I think I made a small tweet to this effect earlier, was like, we've built this infrastructure with the idea, like we put it out there. We even don't create markets ourselves. We don't launch markets, and we're very, very careful not to create the conflict of interest where we're running an exchange or a DEX or anything, and where we're the ones doing that instead of the community. It's like we always want to be the community. Even if it takes a little bit of time to teach the community, it's better to take the time, teach the community, and have the community reap the benefits of their creations rather than for us to start centralizing. So I've always been very, very excited by what Hummingbot does, but more to the fact that when you look at Vega so far, we launched in May with dated futures, we launched just very recently with perpetuals, and you look at who's providing liquidity right now, and it's people who are professional traders in crypto because they're the ones who know how to do that. The exciting thing is it's super early, the volume is pretty low, it's growing, new markets are coming every week, and we're probably going to have 5 to 10, and then 10 to 15, 20, and market creation is a big thing we're doubling down on in terms of making that simple. But you look at the volumes now, and it's kind of like you guys as a community are getting in, maybe behind 3 or 4 market makers, but they're not huge. So the ability of the community to be there on the ground floor and actually be community driven and have you guys have a say in governance and receive a share of those tokens and be the ones making decisions about markets that you launch with your liquidity is super exciting, because it's probably the first time in the world that a financial market is launched like that, for derivatives at least, where it's been the community able to be in that driving seat. And to be clear, we have not got any agreements with any existing market makers where we dump shitloads of tokens on them and let them give them some big upfront benefit that you don't have. You guys get the same access as anyone else if you connect to Vega. So super excited by this. It's so aligned with what we're doing, and we would love to see more and more of the liquidity come from community members like you guys, come from this sort of community supported and community created set of markets. We think we'll be more successful that way. We think it'll drive more innovation in products and in markets. And we think it's much fairer to have a community like yours come and do this than to have a small number of already rich companies. So super, super excited by this, and really happy to be here to talk to you guys today.
Thanks, Barney. So just to announce something, so the connector is in final testing right now. I believe it should be merged to the development branch within the next 1 or 2 weeks. And after that point, it'll be usable by everyone. And I encourage you to try it right away, because I think the earlier you start to use it, the probably the more opportunities there are. But Barney can explain more, but I believe the way Vega works is that if you commit to creating a market and committing to provide liquidity, you can earn a portion of the fees on that market. So there is kind of like an early mover advantage, it seems like, in the way that it works.
Yeah, for sure. The way it sort of works there is that we think of supplying liquidity into a creating market, but providing liquidity is a bit like investing in the market. And just like how a seed investor is going to receive a bigger share of the profits of the company effectively than someone who joins, say, Series A, this is the same for you guys. If you're effectively like the seed or the early liquidity that makes a market successful, then the way the algorithm works is it kind of scales up your share of the fees as the market grows, so that like you join and put 100K in or 10K, the market grows and someone else comes in and puts 5 times what you did in, they may still get less share of the fees or only the same as you, even though they put more liquidity in, because they came later, they took less risk, they came to something already successful. And we want to reward those people who actually take that first move, who actually take the risk, who actually define the parameters of the market. So the system is very much designed to work like that. And liquidity providers on Vega have a governance role. So most projects just kind of have the governance token holder voting. We do have that, but we also have liquidity provider voting, where we basically say anything to do with market governance of an individual market. Liquidity providers and their kind of shares, and again, if you're early, you get a larger share, they get kind of like the first vote. So they get to basically vote on changes to the market and make change to parameters to make the market work better and update the markets. And then the token holders have a role, they can override. So like if an LP comes and becomes the only LP or the largest and starts to try and do shady stuff, token holders can see that and vote it down. But in general, market governance is expected to happen from liquidity providers, which gives LPs control over things like fees, risk parameters, leverage, etc. So yeah, definitely an advantage to being there first in terms of rewards, fee share, and early on there's both fee share and actually Vega issuance as part of the kind of kickstarting the flywheel of Vega. So there's both the Vega issuance and the fee share coming on, and you definitely get an advantage for being earlier compared to later in the markets. And also, we want to see innovation. So lots of people piling in and creating interesting markets and proposing new things will make it an exciting and dynamic place, and will make it more interesting than if you ask all of the big LPs what they want to do. They're like, oh, we want to trade Bitcoin, we want to trade ETH, we want to trade all the big things that we know how to make money on them. If we ask you guys, we'll probably get a different answer from everyone, and that's the exciting thing.
Right. Yeah. I think the reason why Hummingbot grew in the first place was because we built this minor platform where token issuers could provide rewards, and those rewards incentives really kind of allowed individuals to actually make money and profit. But now that we're open source, we're separated from our parent company that runs that platform. It kind of gives us a chance to work with other reward programs like the ones that Vega's providing, where it's the same kind of thing where because of that incentive, I think it makes sense for an early liquidity provider to provide liquidity, because even if you just break even from the algorithm, then you should be able to make money from rewards. And that's kind of I would say that's probably the number one thing I teach our users is look for those opportunities instead of just trying to make money, by facing the market directly without the presence of other things. Because that's really, I would say, that's almost like for individual and small users. That's really our edge. The large guys have their lots of capital, but for them it's really hard for them to chase some of these opportunities on new chains and new exchanges, because for them they're also capital constrained too. They're constrained by their size, weird as it sounds. So I think that's why for us, I've always thought that our best value proposition is pairing our long tail of users with the new exchanges who are launching, who need liquidity the most at inception. So I think now we have a chance to really make this partnership successful. And so what we're doing in terms of actual activities, to drill back, kind of more dive into it, is we're going to be launching the connector. And then we're also going to be providing a lot more documentation and guides on how to actually use the connector effectively. Because we think that's probably the key linchpin for achieving success for our users, is really having confidence to run a bot and understand exactly how it works on Exchange. Alongside of that, because of the rewards and kind of like some of the things that Vega has, I think it makes sense to start creating some custom scripts that kind of pull in information from the API and kind of surface the performance net of rewards or net of rebates that helps users understand exactly what's going on. So one thing the foundation's been doing is we've also been putting our money where our mouth is and running some of our own bots. So we're gonna set up basically a bot and on Vega, and periodically we'll basically provide performance reports on how the bot is running, maybe even provide some type of real-time dashboard. And the reason we're doing this is because we're pretty confident in the V2 strategy framework that we've developed. And so we think that if we can show that it's possible to make money on Vega, it should hopefully, by market making, it should also hopefully allow other people to do the same thing. And then finally, on the connector side, we're gonna basically leverage the bounty system still to ensure that the connector is well maintained and improves in the future as Vega adds more functionality into it. We'll be announcing other kind of activities, sponsorships like in the future, but this is the first one we're announcing. So we're really excited because we think Vega is a very much a spiritually aligned partner. I guess Barney, I know you have to go, but is there anything else you want to say to the community or?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only other things I would say is obviously there's DEXs are always a little bit more complicated than centralized exchanges. We've done a lot of work into making sure our data node, indexer node gives you kind of really rich APIs, and obviously the work on the connector has meant that theoretically a lot of that stuff should be transparent. But if anyone has any issues and wants to go deeper and learn more about how Vega works, or how to query the data node directly to build some of those custom scripts, or to get other data out about what they're doing, or just to learn, we have our Discord server as well, and we're very, very happy always to talk to people and take questions, answer questions, help people with deeper integrations or other stuff they're looking to do. It's also worth mentioning that obviously alongside this integration, we're also looking to roll out a number of additional Oracle integrations and partnerships soon. So we can actually reference the entire Ethereum mainnet for oracles, but we want higher frequency things like Pith and Redstones and those other more high frequency oracles that are now becoming popular. There's going to be lots more announcements over the coming weeks and months on that front, so look out for those, because obviously once it becomes easy to add some of those oracles that each carry hundreds of thousands of data points, that just opens up more and more markets for you guys to create. And so those announcements will be actually handy for looking for the best opportunities to get in, early on something new and exciting. And to create markets that it maybe weren't possible to create before. So look out for those announcements. Join our Discord. I've just posted a quick message onto the chat here with a couple of things on our fees and stuff. You have the sort of standard negative maker fees. You have the extra share of fees if you're a committed LP, and as I mentioned before, the the earlier you come into a market in its growth cycle, the higher the share of those fees will be for any given size of commitment. We're writing some docs as well now, which are going to be explainers how liquidity commitments and stuff work, which will make it all really simple and easy to understand. At the moment, it's a little bit spread amongst the other docs. Apologies for that. But yeah, any questions you guys have, please do join the Discord. Please get involved. We're super excited to hear what you're doing with this connector, to see more and more of the liquidity come from the Hummingbot community compared to professional market makers, and to see communities like ours and open source communities and this sort of open source movement take back or take control of the finance and stuff away from the people in New York and London, as you said. That's the goal for both of us, and I think this is a really cool step towards making it happen. So super excited, and thank you for having me here. Always happy to answer questions on Discord.
Cool. So Ed mentions that he's a co-founder of one of the validator teams. Welcome to the community, Ed. I think we're a very technical community here as well. So I think you'll find a lot of folks who are interested about basically interested in things like about market making and liquidity and those kind of things. And I think we're going to proceed with the next part of our presentation, which is just going over the 1.22 release highlights. Thanks, Marty. I want to give a highlights of the release, and in particular, I want to go over kind of like some of the things that we have released in this one, because I think this is actually a really big documentation-heavy release for us, because the main things we launched in this time were the new Hummingbot Academy, which is a collection of articles and posts we've collected over the years, and we finally had a chance to organize them and present them in a way that it's going to hopefully really help people to understand how market making and lots of theoretical concepts work. So it's a section in our docs right now. There's various sections with quick start guides. We moved all the quick start guides here. So we'll be adding more in the future that just show people how to accomplish different things with Hummingbot. In addition, there's a lot of community posts, strategy tutorials, more like research-ish articles, things like explain liquidity mining, those kind of things. And I really encourage anyone that kind of like is new to Hummingbot, just wants to understand more like the theoretical background, to dive in here. We also think it's a good companion to what we're doing in BotCamp, because BotCamp is really aimed at people who are serious about market making. But for the folks who are really new and just want to understand the basics, I think this free resource kind of should get you up to the level where you can decide, do I really want to invest in a BotCamp, or is it really right for me, or is it just something I want to learn about from a theoretical point of view? In addition, in 1.22, we also have the new V2 strategy the new V2 strategy is fully documented. So we've actually been running V2 strategies in production for a while, and we think that they really give you a lot more flexibility in terms of creating strategies than our old V1 strategies. And so I'll go into a bit more detail on how they work. We also added a new connector to Curve, which was one of the most popular AMM-style DEXs on Ethereum and other chains. So I believe it supports Ethereum as well as the other chains that Curve is on. So be sure to check that out if you're doing AMM arbitrage. In addition, we're happy to welcome back Foxit as a centralized exchange connector. So Foxit is a Brazil-based exchange, community-maintained connector, and they built it themselves. And I really want to congratulate them for utilizing the governance process, because I think first time they did the proposal, they didn't get any votes, and then they went on Discord and they kind of did some campaigning, and I'm really happy to see the community step up and get them over the line and get their connector officially into the open source code base. So welcome, Foxbit. Now, let me go into more detail. Part that I'm probably most excited about in terms of our evolution of strategies, which is the new, the V2 strategy framework. As backdrop, for us, we've always thought of Hummingbot as a tool. A lot of what we had to educate people on is that when you run bots, you don't want to think of it like a black box. It's not something we just push button run. Instead, it's something like a program that you want to configure. So that's why we developed the pure market making strategy, which has lots of parameters and other strategy frameworks like that. But the issue was, we still found that it was hard for people to really customize and really build what they wanted to build. And the folks who actually succeeded in that, who were able to actually build that because they had developer experience, they were the ones who actually were able to make money by using Hummingbot. So that's exactly why we built the framework, V2 framework, because we want to give that customization power to everyone, even if you're not an expert Python developer. So what we've done is we've taken basically all the things that a sophisticated strategy needs to do. For example, fetching data from multiple exchanges and generating signals, from kind of like managing an order and setting like take loss and take profit and other trailing stops and other kind of logic like that that you really have to get right and program correctly. And we've basically created separate components for these things and have lots of examples that show you how to mix and match these different components. So hopefully with examples and with the new documentation, you'll be able to use these components to build whatever you want to build. If something that's pulling data from 5 different exchanges, creating like multiple time frame indicators, creating something that is placing like 10 order levels, like distributed logarithmically, each one having a different cooldown condition or whatever. You can build that very easily now with the V2 framework, whereas before you would have to spend days and days coding up. So that's really the advantage. And so I don't want to dive into it because each of these components are now well documented on our site, and we kind of try to walk you through an example of a strategy to try to show you how to use these different components. But to kind of motivate you a bit, let me show you the performance of one of these V2 strategies that Fede, our CTO, ran over the weekend in our recent bot trading competition. So he ran one single strategy. That strategy was running a mean reversion grid-like strategy called dMan v3 on 3 different trading pairs. So one was the Spell USDT on Binance futures. So this one, collectively, I think he started with like about 200 USDT. On this one did 200 trades. It made $70. This one did 52 trades. It made 17, and this one made $11 after 15 trades. So all 3 were profitable. And obviously this was a very good outcome. So this is not something I would normally expect, but the fact that he started with basically $200, he ended with $300 just by running the bot, I think is a testament to the potential of this new framework. So how does it work? Well, here is the configuration he used. So this is basically all of the configuration that he ran. And so as you can see, I'll kind of use this to illustrate what the V2 framework is doing, because basically it's taking these 3 trading pairs from Binance Perpetual, and it's also collecting data from these 3 pairs using the K-Lines API that Binance provides. And so it's collecting 300 hours. And so once you start the strategy, it's going to use that historical window and calculate indicators based on that window. So at runtime, you already have access to essentially historical data behind you. And as you operate your bot, that window will move alongside your bot. And so that window, that the indicators generated are consistently updated based on real-time data. You can do this with multiple exchanges. So this is only with one candle, but in theory, if you wanted to, you could set up a different candle with a different indicator time frame, and so have like a long and short indicator to play with in your strategy. Then what the strategy does is it sets essentially different order levels, and the order levels basically they each start at a spread which is based on the Bollinger Bandwidth. So this is what allows the strategy to operate on different trading pairs with the same configuration, because the spreads are not fixed. Instead, they are set dynamically based on the data that's being generated from the candles. The other kind of really compelling feature of the V2 framework are the executors. So the executors are basically, instead of placing orders, they're orders that are managing themselves. So for example, after an order is filled, essentially there's or position is created, the V2 framework will set a stop loss, a take profit, a time limit, as well as a trailing stop. And so because it kind of manages every order on an individual basis as opposed to on a strategy basis, it allows essentially more fine-tuned kind of profit taking and risk mitigation in your strategy. Apologies, it's a lawnmower outside. But overall, I think. But one note is that, like all of our strategies, this is not fire and forget. So do not expect to just load a Hummingbot and push start and you're going to make money. You really do need to understand what these different components are doing in order to use them effectively. So that's why I encourage you to either spend a lot of time looking at our docs or consider taking bot camp. But there is a learning curve. But I think that for the folks who have been able to master it, I think you'll be able to achieve some really powerful results. So please check it out. Finally, I want to kind of end by kind of going over something very experimental, which is some of the work that our CTO Fede has been doing on the new the AI assistant. So as backdrop, I think we're all familiar with all the hype around ChatGPT and everything over the past year. And from my perspective, I'm also been amazed. And so the way I think about it is that I think AI is perfect for certain things, and maybe not so good at other things. And obviously, what is not great right now is it's very good at mimicking or kind of explaining things or ingesting lots of text and regurgitating that text to you right now. But I think that's exactly why I think AI is perfect for Hummingbot, because what we have with Hummingbot is something that is a very powerful but hard to use tool. It's because market making is by itself fundamentally a very complicated process, and so we've tried to make a tool that is technically rigorous, and it's WebSocket based. It connects to lots of different exchanges, lots of different strategies you can employ. You can set it up in different ways, but because of that, the learning curve is hard. And for every one of you in the audience who's tried Hummingbot, who's an active user, I bet there's 99 others who's tried it out and just struggled, and just gave up after half an hour of frustration. And I've had that too. Even for me, when I try Hummingbot, I forget how to use a strategy because it's been a while, and I come back to it, and it takes me a long time to jump into that context. And I think that's exactly where AI can make a huge difference, because if an AI had access to all of our documentation, all the sample strategies, can dive into the code and understands all the code comments, now it can really help you when you need it the most. When you're trying to install Hummingbot, when you're trying to understand how strategy works, when you're trying to understand what the difference is between market making and arbitrage and directional strategies. And so I think that the best thing we can do is to take whatever Hummingbot specific information there is and try to use the general models to create some type of assistant tool. And so what can the tool do? Initially, maybe just answer some questions, but hopefully over time, it can do a lot more. OpenAI, some of the other companies should make over the next 1 to 2 years is improve the agent-focused action modes of these LLMs. Because right now it can regurgitate text, but being able to actually take actions and actually plan is going to be even more useful. And so I think if we start playing around with AI now, really doing research into what it can and can't do, I think we'll set up to have this assistant eventually even automate some of the tasks that you want a bot to do, running a strategy, explaining how it's performed, starting, stopping it, and those kind of things. So right now we're still just starting off, just doing research. So I think the best way you can get involved is just joining the AI channel on Discord, asking us how you want to get involved, or just contributing and doing other things. Also, check out this GitHub repo that Fede just made public yesterday. So this is a bunch of Jupyter notebooks and just some of our thoughts around areas we're researching. And finally, follow Fede on Twitter. He'll be posting more experiments and updates there. So that's it for the call. If you guys have any questions, please post them in the channel. Thanks for joining. Welcome to the community. So other thing to highlight actually. So dMan is our community maintainer for Dashboard. So with Dashboard, we're still very much going to build it out. There'll probably be a page where you can test out the V1 of the assistant pretty soon in Dashboard. But overall, I think with Dashboard, we do want to make the the bot, like the orchestration, deployment, and performance parts better. Because I think dashboard, I think whatever we build in the future, I think we should build more, in terms of the UI. That people can use as opposed to the command line. One question from ZK Karibe is, will the foundation only just market make on Vega, or will it start markets as well? That's a good question. To be honest, we haven't fully decided yet. Because I guess we're going to commit some capital, but I think we'll also kind of like look at like the documentation in terms of how it works in Vega, and just try to decide what we can do. I think the starting markets, I would say if we want to start a market, we probably wouldn't do one in like a super competitive market, like we wouldn't start the Ethereum market, for example, But maybe there's like a smaller coin we can start as an example. I don't know, like some smaller, dog coin or something like that, Grok maybe or something like that. It was. But I think that overall, the reason we're doing the public demo bot is really, well, we've actually been doing some of this already. Actually, we've been running just small experiment bots just to prove to ourselves that we could make money using Hummingbot. This one is probably more of a demo, but we'll probably just put a few $1,000s and see if it can actually make money. Oh, okay, got it. Do we involve voting on what to start or decide internally? I would say right now the voting is really focused on which exchanges should be supported by the code base. Team and the DAO are kind of like separate. To be honest, I do think we should probably update the white paper to kind of like reflect this. In terms of how the foundation worked, when we first started, I would say the governance system was more unclear in terms of like exactly what people would vote on, but it was always like voting on changes to the Hummingbot code base. So eventually, the voting in terms of like it became less general, and it's more about which exchanges should be in the code base and how to allocate the HBOT tokens. Foundation team, the voting has never decided what we do in terms of how we spend our time. It was always been about allocation of HBOT tokens and code base changes. However, I do think that we do want to take into account community feedback in terms of what we do and what we don't do. The reason we are doing things like the V2 framework and even AI is because we always view our mission as increasing usage. Because the more users we have for Hummingbot, the more that that accomplish the overall mission, and it also drives more fee share from partners and sponsors and those kind of things. In terms of actually voting, the problem with voting, honestly, is it's very hard. What I've observed from other DAOs and the foundations is the more general the voting is, the more opportunities there are for kind of gamification and just like a lot of just messiness. The reason we're doing our initiatives we're doing now is because we think these are initiatives that will basically best increase the usage of the code base. We do want to take into account and all the feedback we can from the community. Oh, hey, Wojak.
I want to announce that I and David have successfully present a demo at the Mango Market community. So also we want to invite you guys to try the new Mango Market connectors, which we just released, and also the links will be inside the site. But okay, I guess I will post the link later. So I invite you guys to give a try, because at Mango Market the maker fees are negative, so it could be easy to profitable by doing market making, and also to collect if there's any bugs to fix. So
nice.
So yes,
nice.
That's new for me.
Okay. Yeah. Is it on a fork right now, Wojak, or is it is it?
Yeah, it is a fork right now.
Yeah. So I would say like we actually support forks. So like I would say feel free to create a link to the fork, or have it or change like the README to change like how many users to use it, and yeah, for us we'll try to get it publicized, and then eventually hopefully incorporated into the Hummingbot code base as well. With Mango exploited, so Mango did suffer I think a governance exploit, I think about a year ago, but the exploit wasn't related to the tech of the connector. It was more related to kind of this like financial liquidity thing, and also the guy that did it, I think Avi, what's his name, got arrested. So yeah, I think right now I would say I think the Solana connectors have actually been seeing a lot more usage in the last, well, not the Solana dexes, that is. Mango, I think, and a few other ones have basically all kind of like taken off. after the last Solana kind of like upsurge. And I think in terms of like Solana generally, we actually did have Solana connectors in the old days, for Serum. We were actually very excited about supporting DEXs on Serum. The night before the old FTX thing went down, like we were giving a demo, with the Serum guys at Breakpoint. So I think, for us, like, we do want to bring back all the Solana connectors. Hopefully, Wojak and Diffit and their team can help us do that. But I think for us, like, I think we've been focused more on kind of like the strategy framework and dashboard. So so hopefully, we'll get more of the Solana exchanges as well as Osmosis in the code base as well that Nick and his team are building. So overall, I'm really happy to see our community growing because I think we need really help from everyone to make to democratize market making. So we need the folks building strategies, the folks building connectors, partners like Vega, and so it really is a community effort here at Hummingbot. A comment which asks, how difficult is it to add another DEX which is EVM based? If you're asking about an AMM, like a Uniswap v2 DEX, it should be very straightforward because there's many of those in the code base. The other issue is, what I found is you have to also have to educate people on how to use this DEX. So for example, it also depends on, is a DEX like do they have their own SDK? There's other variables that are involved, unfortunately, on the blockchain side. But if you want, I would actually just look at like some of the code for, let's say, the Pancake swap connector or the Sushi swap connector as an example, and you should be able to easily just copy that folder, change the relevant endpoints in SDK. So there's also some folks in the audience, like Nick, especially, who has a lot of experience with these types of connectors. So usually I always recommend, if you have a DEX and a budget, you should probably try to hire someone from the community to build your connector. Nick asks, is there any news on the future of gateway versus direct client integration? It's a great question. So the way I think about it is, I think we'll always support gateway. I think there is a fundamental limitation of gateway, especially if for like more like complex, high frequency type strategies. So what I mean is, I think if you're doing just AMM arbitrage, I think gateway is perfect for that use case. However, we are seeing limitations if you want to do like kind of like more like market making kind of strategies where you're actually changing positions and moving around. So anything on an order book, not super optimized for gateway. Even Uniswap v3, I think would be better if it was kind of direct, because then you could do WebSocket and you can do other things like that. I think we are looking to either build ourselves or to do a bounty for a test client integration to an AMM. Ideally Uniswap or PancakeSwap as the initial like test case. But the idea is to test whether a WebSocket based Python connector can improve some of the latency issues that we've seen by using gateway. Now, it doesn't mean we're going to drop gateway, because I think for the long tail of DEXs, like, it doesn't make sense to build something that's Python based, into the SDK and everything, so into client. So that's why I think for most chains and for most AMMs, because most AMMs are V2 or Uniswap V2, I think gateway actually serves that function, because you're usually doing arbitrage, and there's not a lot of complexity. Our experience with doing anything order book based on gateway is that it's not really feasible to have it be REST only. So even if you look at DEX a lot right now, it's already using like a data source which is built into the client. So it's already like a hybrid connector in order to solve like the latency issue. First step, I would say, instead of deciding it, we're just going to try to build probably like a Python Uniswap connector, I think. I should also say, if anyone from the community wants to build this connector, let us know. We're planning to build ourselves because I think it's architecturally there's probably a lot of decisions to make there. But because we are focused on researching AI and other things like that, I could see us maybe scoping a bounty if someone experienced in the community and wants to kind of take a shot at it. Yeah, but Wojak also added some comments, the discussion on gateway versus direct client. So he says, you should go for direct client and WebSocket if you want to make sure your order tracking more robust. I definitely agree. Yeah, the gateway, because you're passing this bit of information through all these channels, it makes it a lot more complex to do order tracking. And yeah, if you want to deliver an application on top of trading, then Gateway, because yeah, you can kind of like separate. Yeah, I think one advantage of Gateway is it separates kind of like the client from kind of like how it accesses those endpoints. So there's things you can do where like you can kind of like have someone put assets in a wallet and have the client control that wallet without the client really having knowledge of the private key and so forth. Overall, I would say I'm glad we built Gateway when we did, because when we didn't have the knowledge we have today 3 years ago. But unfortunately, yeah, from a maintenance standpoint, I think it's hard to make Gateway work. But yeah, also it's also, I have to say, it seems like the world is going Python dominant now because like of AI. It's like, and this is more philosophical take, but I think Python is kind of like becoming English, where it's like the lingua franca of the technical world. And I can see like everything just forced into Python over the next 10 years. Question from We Got Game. Oh yeah, any update on the new dYdX Cosmos chain? Yeah, actually, so there's a few things going on there. We're actually in active conversations about dYdX, about how to handle that upgrade. We'll probably start the grant application process in the next week or so. The issue is right now the current connector is kind of old because it uses like the Python SDK, whereas our new kind of like our most modern connectors just interact directly with the Exchange API. And I think in this case is better. We're better off kind of like not using SDK because even dYdX kind of is not really maintaining it anymore. Ideally, we want to kind of like have someone do a proper job on the dYdX integration where they can basically update the full connector and kind of get that robust. I think the dYdX connector is probably not going to use that much, I think, of Cosmos itself, because it's still going to be very much like a SEX connector that just integrates directly into the dYdX API. I'm actually not sure. So whoever builds it will need to kind of take into account how authentication and how everything works on dYdX. But my understanding is that because they're kind of using app chain, they're kind of making it very, very SEX-like from a trader perspective. But yeah, I would say I haven't dug into the details of how it works. So yeah, but I do think it makes sense to kind of do a full upgrade of the connector because the current one was built like 3 years ago and it doesn't have some of the updated standards of our new connectors. Yeah, well, hopefully we'll have an update in the next community call. I think we should be able to kind of at least like initiate the grants process. So I think we're wrapping up. Really excited about what's forthcoming for Hummingbot soon. Working with folks like Vega and other newer exchanges who need help from our community and who are willing to provide incentives to get that assistance. I think it's a really good match between I think what our community can do and what the needs of new exchanges and protocols are. In addition, I think with AI, I think we've finally have a chance to really really improve the accessibility of Hummingbot is how I think about it. Because the interface right now, a command line tool where you're just typing in commands and getting back like error messages is a horrible user experience. And I think just having a helper alongside of you that can just show you how to do it, answer any questions you have, and increase your confidence around running a trading bot with real money, I think it will make a huge difference. And so, as a product person, I'm super excited about training this helper and getting that helper to actually do what everyone wants instead of just spitting out garbage. So, but we'll see. But if you guys want to get involved, please just any help you can, any views you have is helpful because we don't really know what we're doing in terms of AI or for frankly anything, and it's really just trying to figure out like how to try to build something that's everyone can use alongside the community. Yeah, Wojak said we can make a bot, read the news, trade on the moves analysis. That's right. Yeah, just but I do think setting up a proper agent pipeline is not going to be trivial. I think the demos out there underestimate how complex the ones that are in production are. LangChain had a really good article about this on their blog yesterday, just talking about kind of like some of they actually have the architecture of some of the agents that are operational in production, and they're much more complex than kind of like the I think the ones that kind of like people think they can just easily build. So it's going to be a slog, honestly, but it's one that honestly we're really looking forward to, because I think kind of these kind of technological improvements don't come along very often, and I think I feel like I'm very lucky that I got to see some big shift in technology that's happening today. So, all right, let's work together to make it happen, and hopefully we'll all make lots of money running bots. So I'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.